That meant the first round of the 2013 calendar was the Brick and Steel Border Counties Rally in Jedburgh.
Although most of the usual suspects would be competing, there had been one major change since last season.
Sensing his title might be under threat from a number of quarters, four-time defending champion David Bogie had thrown down the gauntlet and moved up from his trusty Evo 9 to a Ford Focus World Rally car.
I don't think it'll be the fastest driver that will win today. I think it's a case of keeping it on the road and keeping out of trouble, and the result at the end could be a very strange result, but of course with the previous round being cancelled, we're still in the first round of the championship, so I would be more than happy with a podium.
Perennial runner-up Mike Faulkner had also traded in his Evo 6 for a more powerful Evo 9.
A little bit more anxious than normal. Obviously we've not had any running in the car. We had a problem with the engine again. We tried to get a few miles a week ago and had a problem with the engine, so we've not really done any miles, and it's not the ideal conditions to be learning a new car, but we'll give it a go.
In the Scottish Rally Championship, drivers get 30 points for a victory, 28 for second, 27 for third, 26 for fourth, and so on, down to 1 point for finishing 29th.
The Brick and Steel would prove to be a supreme test of ability. Snow and ice had made conditions in the stages very unpredictable.
I really like the snow, and you can push on in the snow, but snow tyres are easily punctured, so you need a decent amount of snow. I don't think there's quite enough for that, so you've got to take the gamble. In the mixed surfaces, you could get lots of late braking in on snow, and then if you got an icy patch downhill, it'll just carry you straight on the trees. So it's kind of reading the road the best you can, and softly, whilst going as quick as you can.
Picking the right tyres could be the difference between winning and losing.
And the conditions were affecting the confidence of even the best in the field.
As you can see, it's more ice than snow, so you're not going to get a tyre to work on ice, so we'll just have to take it easy. Not looking forward to it.
It's iced over today and it's marbled over, so it's looking for a bit of grip, but we'll see what happens.
We're on a snow tyre. I think Ewan behind us there's on a gravel tyre, so in all honesty I don't know what the right tyre decision would be for this, but I'm sure the time will tell.
The weather had made safety the most important consideration for event organisers.
So they put the four-wheel drive cars in first, to make it easier for the smaller engine vehicles to get through the stages.
Quinton Milne, who'd won the final round of the 2012 season in Perthshire, didn't get off to the best of starts, only managing 17th position after a spin in the opening Hindley stage.
But a few of the other pre-rally favourites put in encouraging performances.
Barry Groundwater and Neil Shanks in their Evo 9 were 5th quickest of the SRC registered crews.
They were only 1 second slower than David Bogie and Kevin Ray in their new WRC.
Lack of seat time in their Evo 9 didn't seem to have slowed down Mike Faulkner and Peter Foy, who were 3rd quickest through Hindley.
There was a very impressive performance from Dunn's Dale Robertson and Paul Maguire, coming in 2nd on the stage.
But leading the standings with a stellar drive through the snow and ice were Ewan Thorburn and Paul Beaton in their Focus WRC.
Maybe this was their chance to emerge from the shadow of Bogie and Ray.
Jock Armstrong and Kirsty Riddick were an early casualty, going off the road in their Subaru Impreza.
Keep left over crest.
Stage 2 walk-up was defining for 3 of the leading contenders.
Ewan Thorburn lost time after a spin and slipped down to 8th overall.
First one we had a fairly good run. There wasn't much grip, but you could feel for it. Second one was much the same until we had a spin maybe halfway through. Just a second gear left-hand corner, just got in the power a bit too early and it just half spun middle of the road, but I couldn't get reverse. So it cost us a lot of time. I think we dropped a minute and a half.
But it was a different story for Barry Groundwater.
He was 46 seconds quicker than Dale Robertson and took a deserved lead in the event, while Robertson had slipped down to 3rd place.
I thought my times weren't maybe all that great. Second stage was quite good, but certainly the first one we were really sort of on and off. But I'm happy to still be here so far anyway.
Very, very slippy. You're just a passenger sometimes, but I always seem to say a good time in the first stage, and we taken it really steady because we've got a big scare in the end of the first stage, so we taken it really steady in stage 2 there. So lost a wee bit of time, but we'll have a push again later on.
Walk-up was really all about Quentin Milne. He scorched through the stage an astonishing 27 seconds faster than Barry Groundwater.
That elevated him 15 places into second overall, just 9 seconds adrift of the Stonehaven driver.
It felt like a passenger on one, and I spun it and had a couple of moments, and I was really not getting any feel from the car. The car was just sliding out. But on stage 2, the snow tyres were really working, they were biting in, and I pushed hard. I felt like I was on gravel. So, yeah, it felt right in there, and the times are showing that.
And what of the defending champion? David Bogie was lying 4th after 2 stages and blamed himself for his position.
Very difficult. We went into the first stage in a snow tyre, and there was no snow at all, it was just ice. So right from the first corner we could tell we were on the wrong tyre choice. So it's a difficult decision to make, but you're either right or wrong, and in that case we were wrong. So we got into a gravel tyre for the second stage, but just, clearing lines, clearing the snowbanks out of the way, and just struggling a bit. But as I say, I don't think I'll be the fastest driver I'll win today, but it's just a case of getting to the end and we'll be happy.
Deep snowdrifts in Craig forced the organisers to cancel stage 3, giving crews extra time in the service area.
On stage 4, Bewshaw in Kielder Forest, Milne again posted the fastest time to take him into the overall lead.
Okay, braking now, protect the sidewalls, and then caution, crest, the second left 7.
David Bogie was second quickest and moved into second spot.
And although Barry Groundwater was also experiencing tyre problems, his time kept him in with a shout of a podium place, 3rd, 1 minute and 1 second behind Milne.
Donnie MacDonald and Andrew Faulkner from Inverness were making a late charge up the standings and were lying 4th.
Mike Faulkner and Peter Foy in their new Evo 9 had suffered a puncture earlier and had slid down to 5th.
But they were 1.5 minutes down on 3rd place Groundwater, and they were really left fighting for minor positions.
The final stage, Riccarton, was all about whether Milne could keep his nerve and take the first victory of the 2013 season.
Long, tightness to 3.
He could, and he did, coming in 6 seconds faster than the hard-charging Barry Groundwater, who'd put his tyre woes behind him to record a very impressive 2nd position.
But there had been some hairy moments for the Bankery ace.
Went clean through after flat out crest in 5th gear, clean through into some ditches. But there was one moment we took out a couple of camera pods, and fortunately didn't damage the guy's camera, but he just showed me some good footage. We were bouncing out the ditches, but you need a bit of luck sometimes, and it held today. I'm grateful for that.
When we came out of service and I saw tyre marks going up the side of banks and in ditches where Quentin had been, I knew he was pushing hard. That was the difference. I wanted to get finished. I wasn't taking the risk that he was. He was, fair play to him. He was doing very well today, but he was driving the doors off that car today.
David Bogie had been quietly going about his business without setting the heather on fire.
Wrong tyre choice early on had set him back, but sure-footed drives in the final 2 stages had moved him into 3rd.
Very happy just to get to the end of this rally. The conditions are probably the most difficult conditions I've ever driven in. So, just happy to get to the end, no damage, and happy.
Event sponsor John McClory, with David Hood in the notes, took top Group N class honours in his Subaru Impreza.
Cousins Kieran Renton and Karen Logan won Class 4 in a Ford Fiesta R2.
A normally challenging event was made much more so by the weather conditions. There couldn't be snow and ice at the next round, the Granite City in Aberdeen, could there?
As it turned out, the snow and ice in Aberdeenshire had melted in the week or so leading up to the Coltell Granite City Rally. But that meant the drivers were still unsure how the stages would perform.
We had the test day on Thursday, but I didn't use part of the stages that we were using in the rally, but it was fairly good. It was fairly soft, to be fair, under the trees, but I think most of the stages are quite exposed, so the wind and the sun has got to them and it's dried them out a fair bit, but we'll just have to watch under the trees where the snow has been and it has melted and made it soft, but that'll be the same for everyone, so yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm just glad that the Border Counties is out the way and we can start looking forward. So, we aren't going to have the same conditions. There might be, it might be slippy in places, but I think on the whole the stages will be very good, and I think it'll lead to a good, clean fight, and hopefully it's the quickest driver that wins today.
After his non-finish in Jedburgh, Jock Armstrong had taken some extra steps to improve his performance.
We've cut the tyre just to see if it'll help the grip in the back and see if it'll obviously steer itself round the corner a bit easier. So I'm willing to try anything today, and I'm not saying I'm grabbing at straws, but it's one of these scenarios where you're thinking if it helps, it helps, and that's what it's all about. So look out.
Quintin Milne's cavalier win in Jedburgh has forced many people to take him seriously as a title contender this season, although some have suggested curbing his swashbuckling style.
A load of folk have tried to give me advice to do that, but I'm a firm believer in fortune favours the brave. It doesn't always work out for you, but when you're up against some machines with launch control and stuff like that, you've just got to go for it. And it's my home rally, so if there's anyone I don't mind bending it on up at the front end of the field, this is it. Not that I want to bend it, of course.
Mike Faulkner had his problems at the Border Counties, and there was another hitch at Aberdeen before he even got to the start line.
Main shaft in the gearbox broke and spat all the bits out the side of the casing, and so at one point we thought it was job over.
A call, I think it was on Thursday night, quite late, saying that one of the cars, after some trials, had broken parts and we're to get some parts up urgently from Preston overnight Thursday to get him going again, and he's sitting waiting to go today.
Barry Groundwater entered his shed, and Wayne managed to locate the bits for us and get them across to his dad, who took them out to the motorway and met an AR Crabe night trunk coming up the road and dropped them off at Dave Weston's, and Dave Weston got them to us for 9 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and Wayne built the box and we put it in the afternoon and made scrutineering. So we're here to fight another day.
Faulkner and Foy didn't get the start they were looking for. A spin in the middle of stage one, Fetteresso lost them around 20 seconds and put them into 9th spot.
Into reverse.
Local drivers were taking advantage of their knowledge.
Barry Groundwater from Stonehaven was lying 8th after the first test, tied with Bankery's Bruce McCombie.
Very good stage, yeah, really fast going. The few moments, especially at the back, the very last corner there, it's very deceptive, so yeah, it's been okay.
Portlethen's Chris Colley driving an elderly Evo 6 and Dave Weston Jr. from Aberdeen in an unfamiliar Evo 9 were a further 3 seconds ahead.
Donnie MacDonald had recovered from a close call with a bridge on the opening stage to stay in contention in 4th.
And left 7 in over Bumpy Bridge.
Quintin Milne from Bankery with Martin Forrest on the notes was consolidating his win in Jedburgh. He was 3rd overall.
I was giving it every inch I got in there, and half of this stage is familiar for me. I used to go through it on my bikes years ago. I couldn't have gone harder in there. But uphill, the world cars have got it on me. But it's a long day, and we've got a couple of stages where we hope there's some high-speed stuff where we might have a bit of an advantage. So keep it in there. Cheers.
But a real battle was developing at the top with Jock Armstrong and Kirsty Riddick in 2nd spot.
I nearly ended the rally. We came to a lot of grip in the back and came to like a left 2, left 3 corner, and I thought We got up to straight line it, but luckily it was a right two, so we just went right down into the deep ditch. It carried us nice, it hooked it, and I carried. That's where I'd win the rally nearly.
Definitely nearly lost it.
No, I definitely nearly lost it as well.
Armstrong was just 5 seconds behind David Bogie and Kevin Ray, who seemed to be getting to grips with their new Ford Focus World Rally car.
An early casualty was Dunn's Ewan Thorburn, one of Bogie's main rivals.
Ewan, do you know what's happened? Nah, no power. Halfway through the stage, the power just went. Don't know what it is.
Turned out Ewan had hit a rock which had flattened the exhaust in his Ford Focus World Rally car. Game over for him and co-driver Paul Beaton.
Bogie and Armstrong traded times in stages 2 and 3.
The Castle Douglas man took 3 seconds out of the two-time Granite City winner to reduce the deficit at the top to just 3 seconds after Drumtochty.
But in stage 3, Glenfarclas, Bogie hit back and increased his lead at the top over Armstrong to 12 seconds.
Quinton Milne was hanging on in third.
But his position was under increasing threat from a sure-footed Chris Colley with Lisa Watson navigating.
Long right one.
He was gradually eating away at his opponent, and after the third stage he was only 6 seconds adrift.
To long left 6.
Over the past, my rallies I've got quicker in the afternoon. Just get a few stages under the belt. So get the car up to service, have a look, see what condition the tyres are in, and then I think I fancy a wee push if there's only 6 seconds in it.
After his solid start, Donnie MacDonald had slipped to 5th.
I can't believe we're still 5th, honestly.
So what's your plan for the rest of the afternoon?
Just to try and get that 15 seconds back to 3rd place, in all honesty. It's there, the podium's there for a lot of boys, not just me, but honestly I'm only interested in myself, so just try and get that podium.
The Invernessian was destined to finish the event in 6th place, but Mike Faulkner was putting his first stage woes behind him and had climbed from 9th position into 6th.
Going into the service halt in Aberdeen, it was getting very tight.
Bogie held a 12-second lead from Armstrong.
You're always greedy for the win, aren't you? I'll put him under a bit of pressure, give him some psychological warfare, as they say, get on with it.
Jock's he's a very good driver, so to lose 2 seconds in a stage is fine with me. But we had a pretty good run through stage 3. Some of the notes just didn't come together very well, but as I say, the more rallying you do, the more you expect everything to be perfect, and it's not just there yet, but as I say, happy and feel comfortable.
Only 25 seconds separated Quinton Milne in 3rd from Barry Groundwater in 9th place.
The only thing we can do is push harder and see if we can get away with it, but it really is, it's so quick, there's no error for mistakes. I thought we were pushing well in the morning, but certainly we need to do a bit more anyway.
What was shaping up to be a close-fought battle at the front between the two southwest of Scotland competitors came to an abrupt end.
Something wrong. There'll be left 4, 100. Here, right 8. What is it?
Nah, it was a turbo blue or something, Kirsty. End off, we're out.
Oh, Joe.
A mile into stage 4, Durris, the engine of Armstrong's Impreza, blew up and split in 2.
Switch the engine off, the oil lights come on, something's blowing up in the engine light.
Bogie, though, went from strength to strength, won the stage and stretched his lead over Milne, who'd climbed into 2nd position by virtue of Armstrong's retirement.
Chris Colley made up the top 3 with another competitive performance through Durris.
But it was on stage 5 Swanley, at 12 miles the longest in the event, that the most dramatic manoeuvrings took place.
Milne, who'd begun the test in 2nd, crumbled, and he dropped down the order to finish 4th.
An inspired drive by Mike Faulkner propelled him into third position, a result he'd have bitten your hand off for, given his pre-event gearbox problems.
And what a performance from Chris Colley in his home event.
He and navigator Lisa Watson held off Faulkner's challenge and claimed their first ever SRC podium place.
Still coming to terms with it, to be honest. It's a day when it's all went well for me. Rode a luck a couple of times in some of the stages. Lost a little bit of time in the last two stages as well with some wide moves and on the corners and stuff. So yeah, just thought I might have dropped down a couple of places, because I knew it was so tight. But yeah, to find out we're second is unbelievable.
There was no doubt about the winners of the 2013 Granite City Rally.
David Bogie and Kevin Ray were fastest through Swanley and came in almost a minute and a half ahead of the rest of the field.
It was made easier by obviously Ewan's retirement today in the first stage and Jock's retirement towards the end. So that's not what we like to see. We'd rather we were all there battling and the fastest man winning. So when we go to the Jim Clark, hopefully we'll all get a good clean run and, as I say, let the fastest man win.
It's early days in the 2013 ARR Craib Scottish Rally Championship, but after two events, defending champion David Bogie has a slender lead over Quinton Milne.
Group N honours went to Wigtonshire duo Fraser Wilson and Stephen Brawl, who limped home after driving the last 9 miles of the final stage with no exhaust, power steering, water pump or alternator.
And Glasgow's Grant Ingalls and Robert Gray were winners of the 1600 class in a Honda Civic, finishing 20 seconds ahead of their rivals.
The Jim Clark Reivers event is always one of the stiffest tests in the Scottish Rally Championship calendar. It's also the only contest in the series where public roads are closed.
The SRC drivers aren't used to rallying on tarmac, so their all-round skills and adaptability will be tested to the maximum over the 4 different stages, each of which is used twice.
The sun's out, so there's going to be lots of grip out there. Good competition again, so looking forward to getting back out. And if I can hang, around about the top 10, I think that's a good achievement today.
Ewan Thorburn had successfully defended his national rally title around the same roads over the previous 2 days, so he was in blistering form going into the Reivers.
David's always going to be really quick, Jock, Mike, everyone else will be fast, so we're going to have to be on our game. But after yesterday, confidence is high, so hopefully we can push on.
Thorburn and David Bogie would be contesting the event in matching Ford Focus World Rally cars.
Bogie went out of the Clark after stage 1 last year, but you couldn't discount him in his new motor.
We've made a lot of suspension and diff changes, so as I say, we've done a few miles last week in the car. Not too many, I would have liked more, but the initial feeling was very good, so we'll just have to get the first 2 stages out of the way and really assess the job from there.
The Reivers is the one event where 2-wheel drive cars can compete with their 4-wheel cousins, if the conditions remain dry.
Steve Bannister in a Ford Escort was top SRC competitor on the tarmac in 2008.
And he and Louise Sutherland were once again on sparkling form, pushing hard in a slightly less competitive historic version of their Mark II.
By the end of the event, he pulled up to 9th and finished as the leading 2-wheel drive competitor.
The Ingalls brothers, Alistair and Colin from Angus, put in a fine start to their day, lying 8th after the first 2 tests in a Mitsubishi Evo 5.
To long flat left 2, narrows and tightens to 3, OK.
Barry Groundwater from Stonehavens had a dream start to the championship, and he was doing his chances of another good points haul no harm in 5th.
Groundwater was 3 seconds behind Rory Young and Alan Cathers, who were taking part in their first event of the season.
Jock Armstrong, with Kirsty Riddick on the notes, was 12 seconds in front of Young in 3rd.
100. 3 right minus. Into keep in. 3 right plus over crest.
But, as expected, the fight for ultimate supremacy was between local favourite Ewan Thorburn with Paul Beaton in the navigator's seat
and defending champions David Bogie and Kevin Ray.
Bogie stalled his car on the start line of stage 1, conceding the advantage to his rival.
Their times were dead level around stage 2. So going into the first service halt, Thorburn held a 16-second lead.
There's lots of chicanes and stuff down in these stages, and it's quite easy to make a mistake, and 16 seconds sounds a lot, but it's not when you've got all these sorts of things in front of you, so we'll see what happens. We'll push on.
The launch control stalled in the start line in the first stage, so the second stage went a lot better. Only regret maybe went a soft compound tyre and should have been on a hard compound, but we'll change tyres now and hopefully it'll be onwards and upwards for the rest of the day.
Chris Colley, who'd done so well in the previous round, had a nightmare start in Bothell, snapping one of the drive shafts and almost being caught by Donnie McDonald.
He still managed to limp into service, 18th of the SRC registered crews.
The shaft into the rear hub sheared, so basically they had no drive at all. Really, it was you had to get right up the gears to try and get any drive, and without management service between the two stages, I had to go back round and do stage 2 again with the snap shaft. So unfortunately, I lost a lot of time there. But hopefully the guys we've got a spare shaft that they're trying to fit in, and hopefully there's no more damage done and we can get back out in the afternoon.
But Chris's drive shaft problems didn't end there. 2 more came to grief, which made his final position of 12th in the SRC all the more remarkable.
Mike Faulkner had high hopes going into the event.
But his race was run in stage 1 when he hit a cattle grid.
It started really well, we had good times, split times were really good, but just got to about 3/4 the way through over a cattle grid and a bump, and it just pitched the car into the side of the road. It was quite peaty and boggy, and it broke the oil cooler and meant we lost oil pressure, and that was the end of that.
Langton may be less than 2 miles long, but the stage has more hazards than most others in Scotland, including the famous water splash.
Jock Armstrong picked up a puncture in stage 4 and lost 2 minutes, effectively ending his challenge in the Borders.
Disaster, I got a puncture in the front left. Only 2 or 3 miles into the stage after Langton, which would be whatever it is. So I had to do about 4 or 5 miles on a puncture. So.
Jock ended the day 9th of the SRC registered competitors.
I'm not laughing. End of.
By the end of the first run through Edram, the battle for the podium positions was narrowing.
Andy Horn in his Metro was just outside the top 3, lying 5th, but going really well.
We are happy with 5th. It's a brilliant place. We came here hoping to get into the top 10. If we can maintain 5th, I'll be delighted. Really pleased.
After making the wrong tyre choice at the start, Quinton Milne was knocking on the door in 4th and asking questions of the top 3.
How was that?
Sweaty. It was really great stages, and there's some mixed surfaces with some mud and stuff like that, but I think these tyres are right now that's heating up. We were a harder compound, but it's coming together now. It feels having great fun. I don't know where we're sitting or anything, but it's all good fun.
Barry Groundwater had moved into 3rd and was consolidating that position, 13 seconds ahead of Milne.
It's very quick, yeah. It's just no time to stop and think. It's a thing. It's all go.
Thorburn and Beaton was still the crew to catch.
They'd actually extended their lead over main rivals Bogie and Ray to 21 seconds, with a repeat of the 3-stage loop to come.
But it hadn't been plain sailing all the way.
Car reliability has been a recurring issue with Thorburn, and once again he was facing problems.
We've still got the electrical problem with the car, but we got another intercom which is battery powered, which is separate to the car, so we can hear each other now, which helps. And yeah, we had a fair push through the last few, and we had a bit problem there. We run wide and hit a bank, and the wheel filled full of muck, and it gave us a real bad vibration to the steering wheel, and I thought we had a puncture for a while. So
Bogie had hurt his back on a jump over a bridge in Blackadder.
The four-time Scottish champion had recovered, and he wasn't giving up on overhauling Thorburn.
Yeah, the back's okay. It was just jolted for a short period of time, so it was a seriously hard landing. You know, in all honesty, I should never have taken the bridge flat, but I wasn't really thinking clearly at the time, I don't think. If we carry on at this pace, then you know there's every likelihood that one of us will make a mistake. So you know it can switch around very easy. So hopefully it's not me.
The top 3 positions remained the same after stage 7 Blackadder.
And Barry Groundwater held on to third after the final test for another podium finish.
But there was a dramatic twist at the top of the leaderboard.
Ewan Thorburn emerged from Blackadder still 20 seconds ahead of Bogie.
Yet again, he was undone by a mechanical malfunction.
A hydraulic oil pipe had broken in his Ford Focus WRC.
With the car repaired but not fully functional, Thorburn lost 30 seconds in the final run through Edram and had to settle for second in the event.
we're gutted. We should have won today. We can't take it away from him. But David drove well, and he wasn't far away from us, and he picked up the spoils. But yeah, we'll go to the Scottish and try and win there, see what we can do.
Bogie and Ray recorded their 4th Jim Clark Reavers Rally victory in the last 5 years and their 2nd win in succession in this year's championship.
We're very happy with the car, very well set up for tarmac. The reliability so far has been very good. So obviously last year we used the Metro and we retired with the gearbox failure on the first stage. So to come back in a new car and first tarmac rally, it's really good to get a win again.
The top 3 in the championship remained the same after the 3rd event.
But Donnie McDonald's 7th place in the Reavers boosted him into 4th.
In other classes, Dumfries and Galloway crew Ian Haining and Mary Riddick had a trouble-free run on their way to a 3rd consecutive SRC victory in Class 3 in their Vauxhall Nova.
And Group N honours went to Conan Bridge driver John Morrison, with Elgin's Susan Shanks on the notes.
The RSAC Scottish Rally in Dumfries was a return to home ground for David Bogie and a chance for him to extend his lead in the championship.
But he'd be facing a big challenge from Ewan Thorburn, who lost out to Bogie in his backyard at the Reavers.
We need to start our championship today. We need to get a win, if not a good podium position. We need to score in every round now. It's all about finishing and finishing well now for us. So we're out to win today, and that's what we're here to do.
I've got a lot of friends and family around here, and I'd like to put on a good result for them, but although it's my local rally, I'm in these forests once a year, the same as everyone else, so I would know the likes of the stages in Aberdeen or Elgin, for example, as well as here.
Jock Armstrong's another local favourite, and he does believe knowing the stages is a bonus.
Oh, it definitely does give you a local driver's advantage, because you can walk around a bit and tyre kick everybody else's car and just going, I'm one up on you. So I mean, psychologically, it should be.
Stonehaven's Barry Groundwater was lying 3rd in the championship and was delighted with the way his season had been going.
We've had a few good results so far. I think today might even it out. We've got really strong competition today, so that's going to make it more interesting and see where we stand.
The two World Rally cars set a cracking pace right from the start.
Bogey and Ray, who were looking for their third win in the Dumfries event, set the second fastest time.
Just 0.7 of a second behind stage winners Ewan Thorburn and Paul Beaton.
There was an interesting battle going on behind them as well.
Northern Raider Quinton Milne was 13 seconds adrift of the leaders in third.
Left 2 and keep right for bad jump, big jump. So it's left 2, keep right over jump, right.
His swashbuckling style's a real crowd pleaser.
Milne was keeping Jock Armstrong and Aberdeen's Chris Colley at bay.
They recorded exactly the same time to put them into joint fourth after Windy Hill.
Barry Groundwater, with Neil Shanks on the notes, knew he'd have to up his game after coming in 8th of the SRC registered crews.
At just under 14 miles, Stage 2 A West was the longest test in the rally.
Thorburn went into warp speed to take almost a second a mile out of bogey and give himself a lifeline into the title race.
Well, you can talk it through. You must be quite happy at this stage.
Yeah, obviously coming from Jim Clark back onto Scottish onto gravel took a bit of getting used to in the first stage, but we had a good push through there. In the second stage we had a real go at it and we took some time out of David, so going well so far.
You must have analysed kind of every detail. Can you pinpoint anything at all that's not gone quite to plan?
As I say, just a couple of errors, braking late into junctions and having to slide the car around and losing a bit of time. We could probably have went with a better tyre choice, but it's all ifs and buts. We just need to focus on this afternoon.
Right and left 2.
Milne was performing admirably, increasing his lead over Armstrong and Kirsty Riddick to almost 9 seconds.
4, don't cut.
Chris Colley was hanging on in 5th, but he was having to fend off the challenge of Barry Groundwater, who'd moved up a couple of places.
A bit of a slow start this morning, coming from the Jim Clark being a tarmac rally, just trying to get my brake in, and it's been difficult to get back into it again. It's just been holding us up, so nothing really other than driver error at the moment. But we've got likes of Quinton, who's just absolutely incatchable today, so I'm just going to have to do my own thing today, I think.
Heath Hall is a big favourite with spectators. It's less than a mile long, but there's plenty of action for fans.
Despite driving the short stage with his boot lid up, Thorburn still outpaced his rivals and increased his lead slightly going into stage 4.
Bogey was second overall and looked to be safe in that position, unless he had a major mishap on the final 2 tests.
Jock Armstrong and co-driver Kirsty Riddick upped their pace from the morning and began to claw back time from Quinton Milne.
After Shaw Hill, the Castle Douglas driver was less than 2 seconds behind Milne, with an 11-mile stage to come.
Yet again, Thorburn was fastest through Shaw Hill, and before the start of the final test, he was 19 seconds up on bogey.
Further down the field, Chris Colley was hanging on to 5th from Mike Faulkner.
While Barry Groundwater appeared to have blown his chances of a top 5 finish by dropping down to 7th, a full 23 seconds behind Colley.
But things do have a habit of changing around on the final stage of an SRC event, and so it proved again.
250 after it.
Colley, with Lisa Watson navigating, had a nightmare end to their day.
You've not got control, man.
Getting a puncture and snapping a drive shaft 4 miles from the end of the stage.
It put paid to their hopes, and they dropped down to 7th in the standings.
The Aberdeenshire pair were leapfrogged by Mike Faulkner and Peter Foy.
And crucially for their championship, Barry Groundwater and Neil Shanks finished the Scottish in 5th, guaranteeing Groundwater third place so far in the title race.
Steady, steady, right 2, continues for second jump.
Quinton Milne just managed to hold off the challenge of Jock Armstrong to confirm third place. Another podium position to add to his win in Jedburgh.
To swap times with someone as talented as Jock means a lot to me, so I feel like I'm getting somewhere. It probably came from for the first time, and I should have done this before, my dad's advice, because he used to rally many years ago, was go testing. I went down to Wales and did set up the first time. Up until now I've been using a base Proflex setting from Alistair McRae's days, just a general click that a lot of people start off on, and it's all I've ever known. So we did a few little changes, and if anything it's helped, or it was just a bit of luck today. Either way, I'm delighted.
Not surprisingly, the two World Rally cars dominated the event. Bogie and Dre finishing second in their home rally, 19 seconds behind Thorburn and Beaton.
A bottle of water at my feet there right from the stage start, so it was rolling about in the pedals. So
this was?
That was the very one. So that was a bit frustrating, but to be honest, before we went into that stage, we knew we were going to beat the Bogie time anyway, so I think we've taken 15 or 20 seconds off it, so it's no gain at all.
That's interesting though, so this thing stopped you driving properly because it was stuck at your feet?
Yeah, it rolls underneath the brake and accelerator pedal, and the speeds in that stage are so quick, so yeah, it was a bit frustrating, but a lesson learned.
It was Thorburn who triumphed, his first win of the season, and one he desperately needed to keep his championship hopes alive.
We had a big push this morning, took a bit of time off with David, and we've held on to it. We've added it to every stage since, and we had a good push through there, so I can't complain, good win.
What's been going right for you, do you think?
I don't know, it's just we've had a run of bad luck and things have went against us, and we've always had good pace. It's just today we've got round, clean run, no issues really, and yeah, enjoyed it, so it's been brilliant.
How pleased are you?
We needed this today, obviously, to get our championship back on track, so delighted to get the win.
Well done.
Stuart Davidson, with Bria Dobney on the notes, took the Class 5 victory in a Ford Escort.
In the 1600 two-wheel drive category in Dumfries, Alistair Graham from Paisley, co-driven by Laura Stewart, picked up his second consecutive class win.
At the halfway point in the 2013 ARR Craib Scottish Rally Championship, the leaderboard is beginning to take shape.
Quinton Milne's put in a superb performance and is hot on the trail of David Bogie.
And it's been a strong effort too from Chris Colley, who might have been higher had it not been for mechanical problems.
So a win for Ewan Thorburn takes us neatly to the end of the first 4 events of this year's 8 Series Championship.
We'll see you again for more thrilling action as the 2013 title race heats up, starting with the Speyside stages in Elgin.